Hello, everybody, and welcome
to Cosmic Concepts with your hosts Tegu, Lashaw, and
OG.
Yes. For today's episode, we will be doing a topic brought to you by the OG of the podcast. Mm-hmm. We will be having Cosmic Concepts tomorrow. So by the time this gets out, it will already be had. If you weren't able to make this previous
Cosmic Conversations,
if you weren't able to make the Cosmic Conversations that we have in person, that's okay. We'll be talking about some of the things we're talking about in this episode. But feel free to look down below in the socials and find one of our Instagrams, because one of us will have the next one posted. So that being said, we will get right into the episode.
Yeah. Today we would be talking about the cost of skipping the process. This would be the cost of instant gratification. In general, today we would go into topics like AI. We'll talk about technology, what it means to give parts of ourselves to things, and the whole use it or lose it terminology. Just what it means to give parts of ourselves to technology and to lose parts of ourselves because we are no longer willing to enjoy that process. So we'll be getting into that. And do you want me to start off, or do you have something to say before we get into that?
Well, as always, be sure to listen with open ears, open hearts. If you have anything you want to add to the conversation, add it in the comments below.
Yeah.
Take notes if you would like. If you have some things that you hear that's like, actually, I do want to discuss that further or go deeper into that, feel free to jot that down.
Yeah.
The conversation is going to be on a lot of things that everybody's interested to talk about. I'm sure everybody's interested to talk about AI technology and where we're going with it. So
and
it's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah. Just a reminder, like with all of our conversations, this is important for everybody. This applies to all of us. If it doesn't apply to you, then you're perfect. And you're not perfect. So it applies to you as well. But yeah, we will be dabbling into a lot of different topics with this one, but generally under just what it means to give ourselves away for certain results. We'll be getting into efficiency. These days we tend to do things that are very efficient for the system, but not for ourselves. And we sacrifice our self-autonomy and efficiency for the system. So we'll get into that too. But let's start off with something very, very common, right? Over time, as humans, we have become less and less active, and with this, in this time period we live in where so much is happening online, we are tending to move towards online things versus in person. So a very common example of that is online friendships versus in-person friendships. Now, a friendship online could be very efficient. If you have a lot of work to do, you don't want to have to meet somebody all the time. You don't want to have to deal with your awkward social tendencies in person. You just get to speak to somebody anonymously online, or maybe you get to put up the best profile photo of you. They don't actually see your face in person. There are lots of things that you are keeping yourself safe from in these relationships that you pursue online. But the result of it is that you no longer are able to build these social skills that you need going forward. So you might struggle with eye contact. You might struggle with just how to conversate with people and actually house your energy in conversation. Because texting and whatever, you're not really giving your energy to somebody. You're just giving your thoughts. So you might be missing a lot of social cues. We have, at the same time, we also sit around a lot, right? We have access to everything. We can go anywhere from the comfort of our homes, of our desk. we can see anything. But that's stopping us from going to those places, seeing those places. We aren't using our physical bodies as much, and so some of us are morphing out of shape. And these are just very simple concepts of use it or lose it, and they all very much apply to this situation. And we'll go deeper into those. But what do you? Just because it's big claim.
Okay, picnic.
So what do you think about? Is there anything you want to say as we get into the conversation about these things?
Well, ultimately, we're going to be talking about reliance and how we can navigate relying too much on things outside of us, and how we can rely on ourselves. A lot of times, texting, things that are keeping us closer or away from actually connecting with the community, is because we've become reliant on comfortability more than self-expression, more than self-trust. And so whenever we are navigating, feeling more comfortable to be alone and do things by ourselves, or, sit all the time because you got a work from home job and you're not going outside much, all of these are going to put us in spaces where it does become harder to trust ourselves with things that have to do with us going outside and to stepping on grass. And so being mindful of the parts of us that feel more reliant on things outside of us. If we can keep in mind the question, do I feel like I trust this more than myself? And we ask that consistently, we'll become more honest with ourselves, more accountable with ourselves, and less reliant on the system that wants you to rely on it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, because the more you rely on a system that we've all agreed upon is messed up, the more that you're going to become messed up, because now you're following the leader.
And the thing is, people are going to say, oh, this system is corrupt, the system is messed up, until it brings you a place of comfort. And that's why this society keeps moving itself towards destruction in a way, because as much as we can say, oh, this is corrupted, as soon as they said you could work from home, what did you do? You started working from home. As soon as they said, oh, AI is going to take over, it's going to replace people's human brains. But as soon as ChatGPT came out, everybody's using it.
As soon as it started writing essays for you.
As soon as it started writing essays for you and thinking for you, we're on board. So the conversation is going to be focused on how much actually are we willing to also stand our ground. Because as much as this society is going to throw gold, it's covered. It's gonna throw stuff covered in gold, but it's actually shit.
Shit covered in gold.
That's the saying.
Yeah.
And this society has made a people that is so used to having shit covered in gold that we now are stumbling on what ground we should actually be on. Do you actually want to go against the system, or do you want to go against it until it makes you comfortable?
Right.
Because if the fight is always, oh, well, I'm not doing this because it don't make me comfortable. Well, when it starts to make you comfortable, you will now be under a system that somebody else is uncomfortable with. And so being mindful that, like, during these times, it is very important that you stand your ground, because the ground that you're standing on should be solid. And when we begin to waver, the foundation begins to break, because not only are you wavering on yourself, you're dependent on your faith. You can believe where you're at. Over here, we do believe in the Most High. In that case, if I'm sitting here wobbling on my foundation, I'm wobbling on the foundation that the Most High has set for us, has set for me. That Mother has said, this is the path you need to walk on. And now I'm wavering because ChatGPT has made me feel more comfortable that I don't have to think about what to come up with. No. Whenever we start to get into comfortability, it should never be based on how something else can make me feel. It should be based on how can I make myself feel doing the things that I've been given and know how to do by myself, or with other human beings who know how to do it.
Yeah. So. Father God, Mother Nature.
Yeah.
If anyone is
confused.
God is nature.
God is nature. And nature is God.
Yes. This is right after we had the conversation about feeling uncomfortable when it comes to growth. This is actually directly connected to that when you say it is our level of wanting to be comfortable that keeps us in. You know, the system can care less if you're rioting and you're saying, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. But it knows that the moment you feel uncomfortable, you're going to take a step back. So all it has to do is make you feel uncomfortable. And you do most of that work by yourself. So we have to allow ourselves to start feeling more comfortable. The system's very one thing next, the next, the next, the next, the next, jumping from one thing to the next. We have grown to learn to feel uncomfortable with going through a process. You know, maybe that process is, you know, this is something that I don't do, heating up firewood to warm your food. You know, maybe that process is cooking your meals versus getting the, you know, Grubhub or whatever they
fast food or getting boxed dinners.
Yeah. You know, even these days, the process is driving to the restaurants. Where you notice more and more we are skipping all the processes. Once upon a time, and till this day, we tell ourselves that we are skipping these processes for efficiency. You know, who cares about cooking your meals when you can have a meal cooked for you automatically? And then it turns into, who cares about going to going into a restaurant and having to sit around people when you can just go through the drive-thru and get the food? And then who cares about driving to the place to get the food when you can just have it picked up, delivered to you? You know, basically, with all of these steps that are missing now, you have to ask yourself the question, what are you losing? When the devil is constantly telling you, I'm sorry if I'm going crazy with this. You guys might think I'm going crazy when I'm saying the devil, but I know what I'm talking about. But,
and he do, so just listen.
When the devil is constantly telling you, okay, just skip this part, skip this part, skip this part, you know, you just stay right there and I'll get you everything you need. What do you think this is going to turn into? We thought Wall-E was crazy until it starts looking more realistic now. You know, everything, we could just sit down and live our entire lives sitting down. So what does that mean for our mental faculties? If you use your mind to move your body, right? But now you don't need to move to do anything. Use it or lose it. Your mind is now weak. And when your mind is weak, you are more susceptible to take BS. You are going to be more uncomfortable with things, making you want to be convenient even more. It's like a drug that feeds into itself over and over.
I'd like to be even crazier with that statement and say 9 times out of 10, you know, strike me down if I'm wrong, but 9 times out of 10, I feel like, and this is not a judgment, this is just an observation, the people that tend to order things the most tend to just have everything come to them, are the people that suffer the most when it comes to relationships. Because like you said, it has to be a mental work. It's literally a mental game. You have to be able to overcome whatever temptations, whatever habits are stressing you out. But if you are continually in a state of laziness, honestly, this country is lazy. And not lazy as in we don't work hard, lazy as in mental laziness, being able to overcome what keeps knocking us down. Those thoughts, let me just get this ordered. I don't feel like doing this. Let me just do this. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like cleaning. Let me just have everybody else come and do this for me. The harder it's going to be for somebody else to come in your life and challenge you mentally all the time. And so when I say that, I don't mean it in a way that feels like judgment, but you notice in an example, yes, we have a society that gets everything delivered to them, but we also have a society that is the biggest for loneliness. And so when you add those two together, it makes sense. A lot of people feel like, well, I'm running around. How am I lazy? I'm doing all of this. I'm doing this business. I'm doing this business. I'm doing this business. At the same time, that's not mental work.
Because you've taught yourself to be inconvenienced by the smallest things. Because if you do everything for convenience, it becomes very easy to be inconvenienced.
And also the society, it's very easy to excuse productivity with actual work. Right. Just because you're being productive does not mean you're working towards something that's actually fulfilling. And so, yes, we can be like, oh, I do all this work. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. You could even be doing a lot of stuff for the community. It's nurses that work all day, but that does not mean you're doing the mental work. That does not mean you're doing the emotional work at the same time. Because when we look at the mental, like he said, the mental faculties, the emotional faculties, all of those have to be incorporated into your experience. But if your experience is used to bypassing the process, the main core of process is our mental work, is our emotional work. That is life itself.
Life itself is the process.
When you begin to bypass life itself, our reason for being here, then you begin to move in that, like he said, Wally way, where it's no longer about slowing down and just sitting. And even if you are sitting, you still aren't doing the work.
You can't stand
You're sitting for convenience.
There are some people who cannot stand sitting. And that is used a lot to kind of, like, they kind of say that. So then kind of like a flex, like, oh, I can't just sit down. I have to be doing something. But it's kind of an addictive mentality.
Yeah, it is.
That is the mind of an addict. It's this person always has to be on something because they're so scared of being in the process. And this, you know, we're going in. All right, we're gonna go in on this to the fullest. We're just gonna call a spade here. The process is life. If you cannot stand the process, or if the process inconveniences you, that is a sign that life inconveniences you. And at the end of the day, if we cannot sit inside of the process, we can't sit still, we're uncomfortable inside the process. All of these things that the devil is saying, hey, you could do this to skip this part. You could do this to skip this part. Why is the devil trying to get you to skip all of these parts of your life? The devil, his or her goal is to stop you from living. And you think that just means kill you. But what does it mean when every single second of your life is concerned about the business, concerned about this aspect of society, concerned about this aspect of society? But when it comes to what's real, what you feel, there's no touching that. That makes you inconvenienced. When it comes to using your legs and walking, you don't want to do that. You just want to drive everywhere. When it comes to using your body and, you know, communicating with people with your eyes or whatever, you don't want to do that. You just want to type into something. You're essentially making yourself live less for convenience, because the truth is life is inconveniencing to you. The devil's not going to tell you that. The devil's going to say, this is useful. You don't need to do this. What's the point of walking somewhere when I can just send a message and the message gets to that location? That's what you think. But these are the people who are going to be more and more inconvenienced by life. And you are sacrificing your life, giving it away to a system that you yourself are, well, we're all coming to a conclusion that the system is mostly an illusion. It doesn't mean anything significantly. And you say the system's messed up, you say the system's whatever you say it is, but you're dedicating your entire life to it. And you are making yourself live less to be able to make it inside of a thing that we all call a game. I want to win this game. I'm trying to play this game the right way. You're spending your whole time playing a game, but when it comes to reality, it's inconveniencing to you. And these are things that we need to look in deeper, because
they always say, like, you got to learn the game to win the game. The game isn't even set up by people who knew how to do the game in the first place. So that saying by itself already it's a dissonance to the same mindset of, I don't agree with the system, to, well, I still got to learn the game. Because learning the game is going to be what gets you further away from what is actually happening. If we can understand what's actually happening, the more you're able to actually see what your battles are this lifetime, what you actually need to be suffering in a sense. And what I mean is, if I know that my battles have more to do with consistent worry and fear and how to navigate that mentally and emotionally, I'm not going to have to deal with the battle of ChatGPT coming and me finding myself deeper into this hole, because my problems sit here. World problems will sit out here. You can have more grounding and more foundation when you understand what your battles actually are and what they're not. But if you begin to create problems in your head that you think are a battle, well, I don't think I can walk this far because it's too much, so I need to drive. I don't think I really have time to cook because I'm always doing something. That's not your actual problem. Right. You have the time to cook. Your actual problem is the need to always escape. Let's get deeper into that. When you actually figure out what your spiritual battles are, what your mental battles actually are, it will be a lot harder to go deeper into the society that's already crumbling.
Right, because you'll see that's where your biggest pains are coming from.
Right, and the more clarity you have, the more you can begin to trust yourself to be like, no, I'm not doing this. The more you can have more confidence in yourself to not fall into the same things people around you are going to tell you. Because it doesn't matter what people wear. It doesn't matter who they say they are. It doesn't matter if they say they're spiritual, they're Christian, they're religious, whatever. Their level of deepness in this system is still dependent on what they believe to be true. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to be following anybody else to see, well, it looks like these people say this AI technology is pretty good, so it seems like it's not that harmful. Yeah. No. If you already know the boundaries that are for yourself, if you already understand the boundaries that are set for your spirit, you understand what you really need to be battling this lifetime, it's going to be hard to waver on that. It doesn't matter if somebody's dressed down in a headdress, a dashiki, and everything. If she tell me I use ChatGPT to look up divinations for my people, I'm going to look at you crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't matter how the people in your reality are also addressing the situation. Understand that there can be a clarity in what we actually need to be battling as a community. And it does not have to be that.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who they say they are. It matters what they're doing.
Right.
Know? So further on to your point, because I think it's very important, the accountability portion. This is something that you have to be accountable for. Everyone can scream at the top of the hills and say, technology's bad, technology's evil. I agree. However, I don't need to sit here and try to convince you that. You need to be real with yourself and ask yourself, why? Why are you finding yourself drawn to certain ones of these certain technologies? What are you doing it for? If the answer is you're doing it because it's convenient, what is it convenient for? And I guarantee you the convenience always has to do with the system. So if you're going to sacrifice things just because it's convenient for the system, you already say the system is bad, the system is this, we don't want to have the system in power, understand that you sacrificing things for convenience for the system is you putting the system in power in your life. And so it does have to do with your accountability with yourself. Real quick. It is a overall thing that we're building when you think of accountability. It's how many times do you take accountability for your life? Everyone's going to say yes. Most people are going to say yes, I'm accountable for my life. Okay. So let's look at your daily habits. Are you accountable for the food that comes into your mouth? No, you get that from a restaurant or whatever. Are you accountable for the places you go? No, that's my car. Are you accountable for, I guess, students, do you write your own essays? ChatGPT does that. If every single layer of your life, there's a layer of accountability you're giving off, you're going to become less accountable just by function. Use it or lose it. The more accountable, the more parts of your life you take accountability for and you do, the more of the process you do, the more you will become accountable. The more of the process you are escaping, the less you will be accountable. So you can tell, everyone can say, I'm an accountable person, but you can look at your lifestyle and be real with yourself. How often are you actually accountable? Go on.
I was going to say, don't think we're negating how busy our lives are as well. We understand that convenience at the end of the day, like we said, nobody's perfect. We go through reliance on different things as well. So we understand that life is busy and that things need to get done at the end of the day. And for this society, sometimes it is hard as one person to have the capacity to do all of it. That's understood. But what we're saying is, in that process, don't forget that you are the root at the end of the day. You are the foundation. Once you let go of you for the sake of something else to take over what you can do, it will start to bleed into other mindsets that you have. Things like imposter syndrome. Now we feeling not worthy of doing the very thing that we can do, that we know how to do. Or maybe we do feel worthy of doing the thing, but now we're confused on, well, I don't know which step or direction to take. Now we're losing clarity. These are the type of things that we want to be mindful of. Not that we don't understand that you're busy, that you have life. Some people watching may have kids. It's a lot going on, but don't lose yourself in that process of feeling like it's a lot going on. Be okay to say no to things. That has been like the biggest thing for me right now. Sometimes it's not that you have to be busy. You just don't know how to say no. That has been the message for me. So also being used to saying no. We don't always have to grind and go out and get it. That's how we easily get swept into this reality of, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. So this will be more convenient. This will be more convenient. If we can master the ability to say no and master preparation, we won't have a lot of the problems that we keep having at the end of the day. If I know how to say no to things, I'm not going to overbook myself. And if I can be prepared, I don't have to stop and get fast food. I got it with me. I don't have to go and meet this person here and do this event because I've already prepared myself. I don't have to spend more time creating a dance because I've made 3 dances in about 2 weeks that can get me through whatever else I have. So preparation and your ability to say no is really going to be, for me right now, the master keys at the end of the day.
And yeah, let's get to that busyness, because we understand everyone's busy. And like she says, it does not take away from the message. It does not take away from what we are saying. There are times that a lot of times that I give my accountability to something else, right? But my ability to see whether what I'm doing is right or wrong does not change because I'm doing something that's wrong. If I'm doing something that's wrong, I can call myself out for doing it. I'm still going to make it a goal later on in my life to try to do better in that. I don't have to justify it. So this is why every one of our conversations applies to all of us, you know? And so obviously we're speaking on things that we do ourselves, but I don't want anyone to believe that, oh, well, it's not important because they do it too. Just because I do it doesn't mean that I don't live an ideal life. I don't live the perfect life. Tegu doesn't live a perfect life. Nobody lives a perfect life, but that shouldn't stop us from trying to get there. And what we know is that lots of people are very bothered. And these are the things that people do that do get us more bothered, make us more inconvenienced. And you just have to be able to be real with yourself. Another thing about the busyness aspect of things is that accountability is not just for you. We are parts of community. So, Tegu, you can't take accountability just for yourself because you have ancestors, you have family, you have loved ones, people who care about you, right? And when they do things that affect you, you are going to have to take parts of accountability for those things. You didn't choose to be exactly who you are. You were born like that. We start from a point of already having accountability that we have to take from the community. And so the busyness, and the thing is, the busyness is an aspect of, like, one, you can get yourself to be in a state of being very busy, but that is an aspect you have to take accountability for. If there's circumstances in your family that make it very hard for you to really just sit down and you have to be busy anymore, that is a battle that you have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a battle that you can fight. But giving up and saying, well, I'm just supposed to be busy and just skipping over everything else is never the way to go. It's only going to make things worse for you. You have to fight certain battles that you may not have created, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And you could be very busy, but you have to take accountability for that busyness that you now have started perpetuating because you're just used to being busy. I know my mom, she is always giving herself something to do when she's at home. You know, she's getting better at relaxing and just, you know, not working when she's at home now. But, you know, she has had this thing of being like, man, I need some rest. But then also constantly finding something to do. And for her, there's that coming of realizing you create a lot of your busyness. Maybe once upon a time that was put on you, right? But when something's put on you for a long enough time and you're not fully taking accountability of that moment because you might be swept up into it, you don't realize how it becomes part of your mentality. If you're somebody who finds yourself busy all the time, it's almost a guarantee that you are making yourself more busy than you need to be. There are things that are making you busy, but because you've gotten used to busyness, you might be sitting down and your mind is racing through thousands of things, not because you have to be racing through all those things right at that moment, but because you just want to. So that is also an aspect of what you need to take accountability for. Take accountability for the fact that you perpetuate the things in your life. If you want to be somebody who is accountable, you have to be somebody who can be accountable. If you always say it's everything else's fault, it's the system's fault, I'm like this, it's this fault, it's this fault, then you're never going to be able to take proper accountability. And you can just expect to suffer for the rest of your life because there's nothing you can do about it. So do you want there to be something you can do about it? Accountability.
And keep in mind, like, who you are is going to be what attracts everything. We always say, what is it? Become magnetic is typically the term. Become a magnetic person. Is that like the law of attraction? Nobody ever talks about, because I'm going to talk about it. Being a magnetic person is not easy because that magnetism. That magnetism is also going to attract a whole lot of other things that we don't have to do. And so whenever you are tapped into your purpose, it is hard to have that filtered discernment of, do I actually have to do this? Because now I'm attracting all of these different things. I've become a person that's able to do that. I can have my prayer and that prayer be answered, and now everything's coming. But then the next step of that is working on discernment. God will get you to the point where you become that magnetic person. The universe is going to want you to succeed at the end of the day. God always wants us to succeed. But in that success also comes the next step, which is mastering discernment. Do I have to do this? Do you actually have to do this to go where you're trying to go? Do you actually have to do this to be where you're trying to be? Or is it something for you to do that you feel like would be a good fill-in step, a good side mission to get where you're going? And if you're doing 30 side missions and God has only placed 2 missions for you to do to actually get you where you need to go, but you just put yourself into 30, now you're tired. By the time you are brought your actual assignment, you're burnt out. Now you're tired. You don't have the energy. Now you're trying to figure out, well, is this something I should actually do? Because is this actually something I should do 30 times before your 2 assignments that were your main missions?
And let's be honest about it. Your side missions are normally things that are convenient to you. If you have a main mission and it's not inconveniencing to you, you're just going to do it. The times we find ourselves doing all the side missions, it's because the main mission has something that's inconveniencing to us. Otherwise, we'll do the main thing. What's the point of me if my goal is to get to that side of the room, right? And I can just walk there because nothing in between here is inconveniencing, then I'm gonna just walk there. But if there's a dog over there, you know, and I'm terrified of dogs, I'm gonna probably be like, okay, what else can I do until that dog gets out of the way? I might be like, okay, let me clean this up over here. Let me do some other stuff. You find yourself pitter pattering when the main goal that you have in your head is something that is inconveniencing to you, because otherwise you'll just do it. It's the main thing, right?
Right. Like for me, this translates into one of my visions being choreography, being able to make dances for other people and heal them through body movement, right? Cool. That's something that's been placed. What's inconveniencing is that not all the time do I need to be in front of people. A lot of my time is going to be filled in practice, in the studio doing it, being by myself to be able to get my body and my connection to my body to a point where it's comfortable. Every time I face that battle, I promise y'all, it's something outside of me that is like fear, immediate fear. Anytime I feel comfortable in my body, there's fear. Somewhere in there, something arises that is meant to be purged. This is an ancestral healing we're also talking about, because these fears, these demons are not all mine. I've recognized that. Anytime I get in a state of peace within my body and that comes up, that's not me. That's something I have to transmute. But at the same time, it can become very scary to always have to encounter that as often as I have to encounter it when I feel at ease. So, sure, choreography and being able to be with people in that kind of atmosphere is a goal that's been placed in my heart. But what's easier than having to deal with that? Just go around other people and dance. Be with other people so you don't have to feel that energy around you all the time. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to dance with other people often. I'm going to try to just, somebody else can do the dance and I'll be there with them to do it instead of having to be by myself and doing it, because every time I'm by myself, God presents me this challenge that I don't want to conquer yet. It's stuff like that that can keep us from being accountable with the fact that this mission is what you're supposed to be doing. But I'm going to do these 3 other missions because right now this one feels really big. And I'm going to tell you now, grace is the most important thing in this process. Don't try to skip. Even you ignoring your main mission is a part of the process. Yeah. So don't feel like, well, now I realize what I'm doing, I got to immediately face. No, because that's also not authentic. It being brought to our forefront, it being brought to our consciousness is already initiating a cycle that you're going to have to go through at least 3 times, most.
I mean, you could realize you got to do it, but you have grace for yourself if you don't do it.
Exactly.
Don't
recognize that this is still a cycle, and we can go have another podcast about cycles, because this is actually something that I feel very advanced to talk about. But at least 3 cycles are going to come after you recognize this is what I'm doing and more. So don't feel like you got to immediately, well, now I know what it is, so I immediately got to do it. No, allow those cycles where God says, okay, this has been revealed to you. Now we're going to put you through the process of doing it. That's still a process by itself. And so, yeah, with what we're saying, like the main mission is always going to be there, but acknowledge when you are running around doing different things because you don't want to do that just yet.
But you got to recognize that is your goal. And you got to do what you got to do to get to there. I always think of that SpongeBob episode when he's supposed to write that essay. And he spends all that time writing, and he has this very eloquent
Right.
It's like we would do all the extra work.
Literally.
Think about all the extra energy he spends crafting that making it the most beautiful ever written.
I'm doing it. Yeah. And some of these, and some of these. Almost there, and done. Now let's see how it looks so far.
And that mental space could have been used to
finish the essay,
right? But that's kind of how the devil has us running in circles. Because it's not necessarily that we can't do the main mission. We can do it. but we're convinced that, this is more convenient, this is more convenient. And he puts so many things in our face that make us feel like we're being busy and feel like we're doing something. Like, oh yeah, I got this business thing to do, this business thing. And now I feel like I'm doing something, because you can walk up to people now and be like, yeah, I have like 5 businesses and they're all lucrative and all this, and I don't take a moment to sleep. You're just dodging that main thing. You're using effort. That "the" was still very eloquent. It looked very beautiful, but
your 5 missions may be very beautiful.
It was not the mission,
right?
And it got him at the end of the day. That "the" isn't winning any essay, isn't doing what it's supposed to do.
He didn't even finish the essay.
He didn't even finish it.
The goal was to finish, and he did not finish.
Right. And so sometimes recognize when you are crafting a beautiful picture that has nothing to do with what you're supposed to do. You can recognize, I did that nice. That is really cool. Awesome. But don't convince yourself that is the main mission. Realize that the process that you're on, that your process of healing is what's important.
I feel like this is a very timely message too, because I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and she's literally in the process of transforming like what she's doing, because she's like, God didn't even call me to do this. This is something that I started when I was at this state, this age. This is something that I'm doing now, but it's time for me to transition. And I think that's also the beautiful thing about the people that we're talking to, is that you are going to be redirected, and you'll know. And some of y'all already have been, so this message is just equally as timely. But a lot of us are being called to reflect on, is this actually what I'm supposed to be doing, and going this way? So being able to hear that calling, one, is good, because your clarity is already there. You can hear clearly, you know where you're going. So now what we're talking about at this point is diving deeper into the mindset, so we can take out the roots now of where it even came from. Because if we don't understand how the mindset itself formed to be doing everything other than our main mission, it's going to be hard to steer ourselves back in the main mission if our belief is still over here. So now it's time to reflect on our beliefs that even got us over here, so that when it's time for us to go straight forward into the main mission, we're not having any hesitation. Oh, well, I feel like this part of what I was doing was good, because no more hesitation.
And it comes down to, the term is an escape. And this is what we're talking about with technology, talking about to anything that is skipping the process. Those are escapes. And we need to realize that what we're doing is escaping that main mission. And no matter what the method is, you have to be real with yourself and tell yourself, is this something I'm doing to escape? Sometimes an escape can seem like a healthy habit. Sometimes, somebody might go to the gym 5 days a week, 5 hours a day, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, but but like, that can be an escape. For me, I know there was a point in my life that boxing was an escape. These are relatively healthy habits, but what are we doing it to not have to pay attention to? Why are we not able to sit for a moment? Why do we want to be occupied? And so this is why I say, ultimately, technology is not great for us, because we have the largest opportunities for us, the most opportunities to escape in this modern landscape. Right now, I can be in, Lord knows, like, I don't have the amount of time in a day to be able to even get into a mere fraction, maybe like 0.005% of the entire internet. I can literally sit here on my laptop for the rest of my life and never run out of things to learn, research, understand, voices to hear, And that's how these things are going to be presented to us. Some people who overconsume, say, manosphere content, they're just learning how to deal with females. Women, let's say females, because I'm in the manosphere content now. They're learning how to talk to women. They're learning how the world works. Some people spend hours on the day listening to things on financial prosperity. Some people spend hours on the day on the internet listening to things about spirituality and how
listening
to get more
to
connected.
Readings.
You spend, and this is how absurd it can get. You know, just realize when you are doing it as an escape. How much spiritual content do you have to take in every day to be more connected? When the whole point of being more connected is to not be outside of you, right? You know,
have somebody else telling you who you are.
Yeah. So this is just why we're speaking on technology and these things. It's because these things are all escapes. They're all keeping us away from the main goal, and they could be very eloquent, very beautiful. But at the end of the day, even what I'm saying right now is not something you haven't heard before.
Right.
You know this inside of yourself. Think of this as an encouragement to listen to yourself, because you are right, and you just need to accept you are right and stop trying to make what you're doing seem like it's right, and start realizing what you're thinking about what you're doing, that is right. An aspect of that is right. So what were you saying?
I was just going to get into, even with the eloquent, and then we're going to close up because it has been an hour. The concept of the eloquentness. Remember, everything, again, is going to seem much prettier and more fun than the truth. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I get very bored with having to do what I'm supposed to be doing, because I'm like, this isn't as fancy as what I could be doing over here. This isn't going to get me what I could be doing over here, because now I got to sit down, right? But the goal is for it to not be more pretty. It's for it to be more fulfilling, impactful, have longevity, have truth, have weight. Everything that seems like it can be prettier, much easier. We think ChatGPT can write a lot better than we can. All of these things are short term, really not teaching much, and it's not fulfilling. It's not fulfilling. It's filling a void of not wanting to do what we need to do. And then we'll tell ourselves, right? And then we'll tell ourselves, I feel like it's more I could be doing. And then we tell ourselves, I feel like it's more I should be doing. And we try to do that by doing more things. But that feeling of needing to do more is you needing to do more that's actually fulfilling. Your void is always going to feel like something more could be done, but that's not the truth. What more that could be done is the more that's actually going to fill your cup, which is actually going to make you fulfilled and bring you that long-term peace, long-term happiness, etc. And so just be mindful. Like OG said, it's nothing y'all haven't heard before. We're not on here talking about just the first concepts ever in the universe to happen.
It's the same thing that
it's the same lesson over and over. We are just saying it in different ways, but if you look at the root, we've said the same thing in all 3 podcasts, and the more to come.
And we'll never stop saying it.
Right.
If it helps for us to say it in different ways,
we're gonna say it in different ways. Okay. How many prophets came, and how many of them said the same thing?
Right.
Yeah. God and Mother is very complex, but they're also very simple. It's gonna be the same thing.
It's not about knowing anything special. It's simply about not telling yourself, not deluding yourself.
Not deluding yourself.
Not allowing yourself to say, this is this. Okay, cool. Instead of being like, this is this. But because I'm doing this, and that seems like the bad thing, this is actually okay because now I'm doing it in this way. That makes this thing
that
like
looks
this
better.
thing.
Yeah,
and it's not this thing. No. That is that.
Yeah, that used to be me when I was smoking. I was like, actually, I can do this because every time I smoke, it's communion with the spirits. So technically, it is okay for me to do this.
Right.
Sure, okay, it could be communion with the spirits. Was I getting a lot of insight? Yes. But was it fulfilling? No. Afterwards, I was very tired. I didn't want to do nothing. I was just drained. So it's like, again, don't delude yourself just because you feel like it's you doing it. And if you have the intention of getting closer to God through what you're doing, sometimes it's okay to be like, actually, this is taking me further away.
Yeah.
And just be honest about it so that you can get closer in the authentic way, because
Stop being
the truth is,
to all your rules.
you cannot get closer to God through inauthenticity.
Yeah.
You have to be authentic to get closer to what's real. The Creator created the reality.
God is reality.
So we can't try to make ourselves further from reality and then delude ourselves to say, well, actually, this is what's getting me closer to God, because it's not. It's getting you closer to something that wants you further away.
Yeah. And even sometimes in our journeys, this is, we recognize we go into darker places. And that is part of our journey. But don't let something being part of your journey make you have to come up with a reason for it. Oh, that means it's actually getting me closer. Yes, you experienced it and you're going through it because life is imperfect. But that doesn't mean that it is necessarily something that brings you closer. It is just something that is a part of your journey, and it gave you an awareness. Well, you already had the awareness, but you've come to learn something out of it. We go through a lot of things, but allow yourself to call a spade and stop making yourself the exception to your rules.
In short, we're saying trust yourself. The first time you say something ain't right, this ain't right, you can go through, okay, is this trauma? Is this? You can have that discernment, but trust yourself.
Because you can tell it's others.
Yeah.
But the moment somebody says, oh, you did that, then all of a sudden it's like, well, in my case, it was like this. And you think you're convincing them something, but really you're deluding yourself. Because now you're not going to trust yourself. Now every time, because the way you see yourself is the way you see everything else. So just trust yourself.
Have patience for yourself. Have grace. You're doing very well in general. So don't keep stopping that wellness that you are growing into by confusing yourself. Because the crazy thing is, and we were just talking about this yesterday, the human body, bones can heal themselves relatively quickly. Without all the medicine and things that people give, that, doctors and stuff give, our body is made, I feel like personally, to be damn near indestructible. Obviously, we're very malleable. You get older, you fall, you crack your hip, but it can fix itself again. And so same thing mentally. Your mental capacity is sharp enough to bounce back every time. Your emotional capacity is very sharp to bounce back. This is something that I'm working on, but I can have an attitude and 3 seconds later be like, okay, whatever, and just get through it. Especially, as a feminine energy, it's just so many, it's a wide range of emotions every damn second. So the ability to bounce back, our ability as humans to bounce back from things is sharp. So your ability to bounce back and your ability to sharpen up is always there. Is always going to be there. So don't ever feel like it is something, like you were saying, that you have to sit in if you feel like, everything's crumbling. You don't have to sit there, because you were quite literally made to be a powerful being. Like, we are one of the most powerful beings on this planet. So use that to create more. Use that to love more. Use that to be honest, and use that to spread more joy within yourself first, and then within others, because it's very powerful. You quite literally are, made to be in God's image. I don't know what else could be better than that.
Right. And, I love that message. That is and I do believe in that message. I want to say something, not a caveat. It's kind of along with that message. There is also another side that I feel like does need recognition. You might not be doing okay right now. Right now, you might feel like you are not very powerful. And if that is how you feel deep inside, that's where you are at. But what Tegu was saying is that is the potential that we all have. But the only way you are going to stop, it's either you can feel that way But the only way you can stop feeling that way is if you allow yourself to take more control over your life, take more accountability. Because a lot of the times when we're feeling really down, the biggest feeling that we have is that things are out of control, right?
Depression's root is feeling out of control.
Feeling out of control.
I know. Trust me.
If you recognize that you are in a weak state, the universe isn't fixed. It changes. If you are in a weak state right now, that might currently be your truth. But your decisions, I'm trying to say that your decisions you make, the little things, the things that are out of your control, and that's what's driving you crazy. But once you start taking accountability for the little things, and you start taking control of the little things, maybe you start cooking your meals, maybe you start walking and giving yourself time to sit and take control of your thoughts. Because when you're just moving from one thing to the next, you're not taking control of your thoughts. You're constantly being hit by different thoughts, different people's frequencies and all of these things. If you're already feeling out of control, going through TikTok is a terrible idea, because there's just a bombardment of thoughts being put on you. So this is just an encouragement saying you might not be in control right now. You might be in a weak state, but there are still things you can do to get yourself back on track. Allow yourself to be that powerful image of God, image of a child of God that we are. And just encouraging yourself, you can always do that. We always have that choice. Nobody's just doomed until you accept that you're doomed. That is, So keep fighting. Keep taking more and more accountability, and you will be happier and happier as life goes on. Stop distracting yourself with eloquent thes.
That episode was crazy, and we will input a clip of the in this video, because that episode was wild. Everybody was rooting for him, for us to see that paper and be like,
that's crazy.
What are we doing?
What did you do? That's spirit touch sometimes.
That's literally
it's like
spirit.
We run it all up and down.
You got this whole gang of ancestors like, oh, she's doing it.
What did you do?
He's doing it. This is what I did.
What did you do? You're still at the start.
You got your ancestors grouped up having a damn meeting now. Like, all right.
It's like, I started
somebody got an input.
I did this. I got 15 Rolls Royces. You show your paper to the spirits and your ancestors, and they're like,
somebody got to
what did you do?
Somebody in the back like, I'll do it. I'll hit the trials and tribulations button. I'll hit it. Like, damn, you done got them now inputting tests.
They needed another test. It's like you done traveled the world 10 times over.
Uncle John Doe
what did you do?
is on the mission.
Right.
Chaos.
Just keep
pushing, keep climbing. Enter my Miley Cyrus clip. It's the climb. That used to be my song when I was a kid.
Keep your target locked on what matters the most.
So as we said, Cosmic Conversations will be this tomorrow. So this probably will not be posted tomorrow. We'll see how fast we can move. Tomorrow. But
what are we talking about tomorrow on Cosmic Conversations?
We ain't gotta talk about it. They're not gonna be there.
On Cosmic Conversations, we would have had a great conversation about the last topic.
That's right. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for your support, your engagement. Again, be sure to like, subscribe, add your comments. Please, because y'all clearly aren't going to be able to make it to the Cosmic. If you are able to make it, we love that, but we're just saying for the sake of when this will be posted, we will have already had it. So if you're not able to make it, support us, support you by dropping down your comments below.
We like talking. Even if I got to text you on YouTube comments.
Right.
I just like sharing ideas. I like hearing your ideas. I like hearing everything you got to say because
it's important.
It's fun. Communication is fun.
So yes, this has been a great episode of Cosmic Concepts, and we hope to see y'all next time.
That wasn't a good one. What's a good We'll do a mixture.